Austin.
And it's John.
And this is the first ever Meatgistics podcast.
That's right. It's been requested and it's been in the works for some time.
Yeah, it's been nearly a year, but we are finally at it, and I think we're going to have some really fun stuff. I'm excited. We should jump into things because there's something here I would really like to get into. For those of us that can see as well, we're doing YouTube and a podcast, but there's something sitting on the table here that I want to explore and see what we're doing.
So what we did is I bought a beer that I just cared if I liked, and Austin bought a beer that he just cared if he liked. We didn't take the other one into account at all, and we have pretty different beer tastes, so we're going to drink the other one's beer. We have these great Orca tumblers covering them because it's better than a paper bag, I guess. But you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
See what we got.
I've got something called Hop Slayer. Oh, yeah, that's right up my alley.
I can't even pronounce this. Vibrant Potion?
Yeah.
It's just not how you would
From
spell potion.
Dogfish Head.
Everything Dogfish Head is very good.
Yes.
Has elderberry in it, so I think I'm going to be healthy drinking it today, so that makes me feel good. You want to see what it's like?
I'm betting that I despise this. I'm glad that got you in the eyes.
Yeah.
I can just smell it, and it's...
That's actually not bad. It's much better than I thought it was going to be.
That's exactly what I thought it was going to taste like.
I do like sours, though.
They're great.
I love IPAs, but I do like sours.
Now, the downside of that, look at the ABV.
Is it like 3?
Unimpressive 4.8.
Oh, 4.7.
Which yours, I'm assuming, is ridiculously high somewhere. 8.2. So, yeah, that is pretty high.
I think I'll be switching back to my beer.
And I definitely will be switching back to mine. There's no question about that.
So what's on the agenda for today? What are we going to go over?
Well, we'll have I've got something else hidden underneath that plate. We've got a recipe we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about using cure and nitrite to help extend the life of your meat right now, especially for hunters. And just a couple other recipes, things that we want to talk about. I say we keep it loose, don't have too much of a script.
Yeah. Okay, let's get going. Let's hit the first topic. Which one you want to go through first?
Well, let's go right to the visual thing. So anyone watching on YouTube will get the benefit. So I've got 2 types of sausages here. One is our new Game Bird Gourmet, and that is a pheasant brat, which we added 25% pork fat to, and we used the Hatch green chili. Awesome bratwurst seasoning, and I want to see what you think of it. And then the other sausage is something we're going to do weekly here, where either Austin makes a brat and doesn't tell me what it is, or I do that to him, and then you have to try to guess it.
That shouldn't be too hard.
I don't think you're going to get this.
You're not making like a Frankenstein bratwurst, are you?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. All one seasoning.
Okay. So I'm assuming that the pheasant was done in a natural casing, and the mysterious one is collagen.
Correct. But look at how well that collagen stayed closed.
Mm-hmm.
We used the automatic linker on that.
Oh, yeah.
And then froze them solid. And I really think that helped because, I mean, that's way better than most of the collagen.
Yeah, it definitely looks really good.
Yeah. I put something on Instagram about it. Just as I was grilling it, it looked so nice and closed. So good.
Mm-hmm. That Hatch green chili is still a fairly new seasoning for us, and I have not had that enough because it is amazing. That is going to be one of my go-to flavors for a while.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing in pork. I would argue it's just as good in pheasant, so it'd be awesome in chicken. It is just all around great.
Did you do straight pheasant, or is there pork fat in there?
There's pork fat in there.
Okay.
I did 25% added pork fat.
Okay.
I would say that other than the Bloody Mary popcorn chicken or popcorn pheasant one we did, this is my favorite. I mean, that was unbelievable. I don't know if anything will ever beat that. And I think it was the second or first one we did, something like that.
Yeah, and I would never have thought to have done that because that Bloody Mary wing shake.
Yeah.
Honestly, making Bloody Marys with it, I'm not the biggest Bloody Mary fan ever. I will drink them, and they're not bad.
Sure.
But using that seasoning, I'm like, I don't know. But putting that in the breading was one of the most delicious things I've ever had.
It was awesome. That was a huge game changer.
Okay, can I cut into this other one?
Yeah, go for it.
Do I have to guess the meat, or is it just a flavor?
No, just the flavor. It's pork.
It definitely is chili, but the question is it the chili dog or the chocolate chili dog?
Oh, you think it's like the moulet one? The chocolate chili is like a moulet. A moulet is like a Mexican chocolate.
I don't know. We have I forget the exact name, but we have a chocolate bratwurst of some sort.
Chocolate chili brat.
I don't really get enough chocolate in there.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's just the straight chili dog.
No,
Is it the chocolate?
it is not.
Is it chorizo?
Nope. I'll give you one more guess.
It is a brat seasoning. You didn't...
It's a sausage seasoning.
I don't know.
It is the new Chipotle green tea sausage.
Oh, that's not even fair.
No,
'cause
that's definitely fair.
Okay.
That's definitely fair.
I'm gonna get you next time.
Yeah, I don't imagine
I'm gonna
anyone's
come
ever
up-
going to win this.
I'm gonna come up with something very difficult.
So that is part of our Excalibur's new kind of foodie line. We just set them up online. There is the smoked Gouda and portobello mushroom. There's Southern Sweet Kentucky sausage. There's that, which is the Chipotle green tea. And there's a longanisa. They're all really good. The bags are huge for them. I mean, they jammed all sorts of ingredients in there. And the smoked Gouda, out of all those, the smoked Gouda and this were my favorite.
Yeah.
I can see why you thought the chocolate chili brat, because it has a real creaminess to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pretty noticeable. So I can see why you thought that, but yeah. No.
Yeah, I would have said that. I just didn't get any chocolate, so I'm like, it can't be that. But I thought it was more like that than anything else.
Yeah, it's got a decent spice to it too.
Out of the new ones though, like you said, that smoked Gouda one, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
That one is another towards the top of my list on new seasonings we have right now.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody agreed with that. I mean, that one was the reason we went ahead and did all this, set up all the other ones, because that was so good. And I hate mushrooms of all kinds. And even I liked that one.
No,
so.
mushrooms are delicious.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
It's like the feta and spinach bratwurst seasoning or sausage seasoning. I hate feta and I hate spinach, but I like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
It's just the right combination of flavors.
yeah, it's a
That's
little.
what, yeah. Excalibur's good at doing that, finding different things that fit and mesh well
That work,
together.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's also a little peek into my mind. Like, you hate both of these things, but you like them together. So sometimes it just depends on the mood I'm in the day I first try it. And then from there on out, I either love it or hate it.
What do you want to get to next now?
So something that Patrick and I did probably about 2 months ago here. I don't even remember what spurred it on, but we got to thinking, what would we do if we wanted, or how would we put all 4 cheeses into a brat? Or actually, there are 5 cheeses. So we took 4 of them. And, you know, we played around with just tossing it in there, using a basic seasoning. We did pork. But then we got to thinking, like, when I bite into it, I want to get all the cheeses. I don't want to get, you know, one bite has some of this cheese, another bite has some of that. So we tried to melt it. Well, we did melt it.
And that, I assume, took a lot of effort because it's high temp cheese.
We figured we would melt it, then pour it out flat on something and cut it up into little squares and then stuff it into the casing. That's pretty much exactly how it worked out. It was way easier and worked out way better than what we thought. Getting the cheese to melt, we used a stickless pan, and you did have to, you had to get it pretty hot.
Yeah.
And that maybe if we do that again, we might want to install a hood up here because there definitely was a lot of steam and smoke coming off of it. But those 4 cheeses together, that was awesome. I mean, I know it sounds like a lot of effort, but it's really not that bad. All you got to do is melt the cheese, pour it on some wax paper or something, let it solidify, which happens real fast. I mean, real fast. And then just slice it up and add it to your meat. Works really well.
Very cool. Yeah, I thought that idea was really cool, and I thought it also tasted amazing. So I'm on board for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And the pizza, Supreme Pizza seasoning is definitely, that's the one I'd go with on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. The Supreme Pizza, that's still one of my historical favorites. Yeah. It's fantastic. I wouldn't say it's exactly like pizza,
right,
but it's close, and I think it fits for everybody. Little kids like it. It says pizza, so they're excited.
Sure.
But it's got a different type of flavor that really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing I occasionally pick up in there that I don't care for is every once in a while I'll get like an olive taste.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that.
You don't like olives either?
No, I like olives.
Oh.
I just don't like them on my pizza.
Okay.
I'm very much from the cheese and pepperoni is what's on a pizza. No. Not sausage, certainly not pineapple, anything nonsense.
That's reason 937 out of about 200,000 on why Jon is crazy, because he only likes cheese and pepperoni pizza.
I feel like if anything, that makes me the sane one. That's like one of the things I hold on to as hey, I'm still in touch with reality. I only like pepperoni on my pizza.
No, pizza is meant to be experimented with.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
So for the next thing up, we're going to talk about some of the benefits to finishing up in water or finishing your smoke cycle out by taking your product out and doing it in a sous vide bath. Sous vide has been kind of a rage over the last few years. It's definitely still gaining in popularity, and that's one thing that we picked up from some of our Meatgistics users out there. Yep. Is finishing up a product in a sous vide bath. At first I thought it was not gonna work, and I kind of thought it was a crazy idea, but after we did it, it turned out really good. You get quite a few benefits out of it. Most of the time when you're smoking meat of any type, you're going to hit a stall at some point where your meat basically can't increase temperature as fast as you would like. So when you get towards the end of your cook cycle, it takes much longer to finish than what you're expecting and what you've seen through the cook so far. So what you can do is once your product hits 140, 145, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah, we found 130 was about the perfect place to.
Okay.
Don't pull it any before that.
So 130, give or take. You can take it out of your smoker, have your sous vide already set up, ready to go. If you get a sous vide cooker that is big enough, you can use it in like one of our meat lugs, and that gives you a lot of area to put some product in and cook it. But that sous vide cooker is going to hold water at a perfect temperature. So you're never going to overcook the meat product, but since you have water all around that meat product, it transfers heat energy much faster. So that final cooking stage, instead of taking what you think should be a short amount of time, taking forever in the smoker, you can cut that time to a fraction of what it is by finishing it off in the sous vide cooker.
Yeah, if you're going to use one of our meat lugs, though, you do need something a little bit more geared for commercial, like the BackMaster SV1. You need one that can really pump it out. Yeah. The Westons aren't designed for something that big.
Unless they want to buy two.
They could do that.
I'm never opposed to people buying more from us.
I was out in the showroom a couple of months ago talking to a guy, and that's exactly what he was planning on doing, was getting two. And then a couple quick things. The reason that your meat stops going up in temperature is because right around 134 degrees, I think what it is when meat really starts to expel the majority of its water. So up until then, it's lost some water weight, but it's not going to be a ton. That's when it really starts to just push it out. That's one of the reasons why Super Bind has both potato starch and carrot fiber. So the potato starch is designed, or I don't know if it's designed or it just happens to do it. It forms a gel at just about exactly that temperature. So as your meat is expelling the water, the Super Bind is sucking it up with that potato starch. So as your meat's expelling the water, it goes onto the surface of it and starts to dehydrate off. Well, that evaporation energy is fighting your thermal processing energy. So the more it loses, the less that thermal energy that can penetrate it. Now, pulling it at 130 and finishing up in a sous vide cooker is a great way to do it. Another way to kind of do something similar is to increase the humidity in your smoker. Doing that is just going to add more water to the air, and it won't let as much get evaporated up off the surface. So this is kind of just another way to do that.
Yeah.
And if you are going to sous vide, when I started, so it was Parksider on Meatgistics who kind of first brought this idea to our attention or to our mind. And I was very gung-ho about has to be in a vac bag before it goes in the water. Like, has to. And he kept saying, no, it doesn't. And like, it won't make a difference. I'm like, yes, it will. Absolutely will. And I finally figured out why I was so just set on putting it in a bag. It's because our sous vide cooker is a circulator. It sucks in water and then pumps it back out. If you don't have it in a bag, it's going to suck in fat particles, or oils, it's going to suck in little tiny pieces of the casing. So if you're doing it in like a pot on the oven or like with a roaster, then you don't need a bag. But if you are doing it in a sous vide cooker that sucks in water and shoots out warmer water, you do need to have it in a bag or you're going to ruin your sous vide cooker. So
you can always gamble.
You just want them to buy another one.
Have you done it without a bag then?
In the sous vide cooker?
Yeah.
No, I have done it without a bag in a pot of boiling water. And one of the nice things about, any stove really is once you get your oven top dialed in and you have it at that temperature, it'll stay there for, almost. Well, eventually your water's going to dehydrate, but beyond that,
you mean evaporate? Water doesn't really dehydrate.
Yes, I definitely meant evaporate. So another one of the things we wanted to talk about is hopefully a lot of us hunters have a freezer full of stuff right now. Probably never been as important as it is right now to have more food stored up just in case supply lines get interrupted. Now, it doesn't honestly look like they're going to. So far, everyone's done a great job about keeping stocks or keeping shelves stocked, keeping the supply chain going as far as meat goes. We've been staying open to try to serve as many as the medium-sized processors, butchers, things like that as possible. And I have, other than that first week where there was no ground beef anywhere, you could not find ground beef. That stuff goes bad in like no time. Why are you buying ground beef?
Yeah, I needed some pork butts for something I'd promised my wife, and I had to beg and plead to.
Oh, you got some?
Yeah, I got some.
Nice.
But I couldn't just walk in the store and get it. Talked to the guy behind the meat counter and just begged him. I was like, "Can you please get me something?" So
that's crazy. I've never seen that before.
No, I've never seen grocery stores this bad in general. Nope. But it'll all slowly come back here. Hopefully.
Yeah. But if it doesn't, you have to make a decision with what you've got in your freezer. Stuff that you've hunted, whether it's deer, elk, moose, pheasant, like we like to do. My suggestion would be, if you have it vac packed and it's a whole muscle and it's in your deep freezer, leave it in there. Don't take it out. Just leave it in there till you're till whenever you're getting ready to use it. Don't make a change on that. If, however, you want to extend the life of that, consider making a cured sausage. A snack stick, a summer sausage, or even just a regular cured sausage definitely is going to last you a long time. Once you've added sodium nitrite to something, it is going to extend the shelf life. You can further that by lowering the pH of your meat. So if I'm doing a chicken sausage, one of the things I'm going to seriously think about adding normally would be something called cold phosphate. Reason I want to add that is because it's going to raise the pH of the meat, which is going to create more negative charges in the meat to allow the water to hook up to. That way, when I cook it, it's going to be harder for the meat to let go of that water. It's basically just holding it. Raising the pH of the meat also shortens your shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, right now, I mean, cold phosphate's not something I'm really considering adding to anything.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a fresh product and you're extremely stocked up,
Yeah. Okay.
then it's not as good of an idea unless you're gonna eat it right then
Right
and there.
there,
Yeah,
right.
but yeah, like you said, if you're gonna keep something for a while, you smoke it, you cure it, re-vac pack it, throw it back in the deep freeze, and that, for all intents and purposes, I mean, there is a shelf life, but I would leave it in there indefinitely. You're going to start to break down after a couple years, and it's not going to be the same, but it's not going to be bad.
No.
It won't go bad.
It just be, and if anything, it would just be taste. It would not be
Yeah.
dangerous to
Yeah.
eat.
Nothing dangerous at all. Mm-mm.
And when I went to the Iowa short course, one of the things that just stuck in my mind, and I used it the other day for a social media post, was in just over 8 hours, one E. coli bacteria becomes over 8 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And it's just doubling. It's exponential growth. One becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, and it just keeps going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're like, so that's another thing. Make sure that when you're butchering, you are in a real clean environment. I know a lot of you guys like to do it in your garage, which honestly is fine, as long as you're sterilizing everything. Your knives, definitely your surfaces, absolutely your surfaces. And I know that can be a challenge right now. I mean, a lot of sanitizers are out of stock. They're kind of hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm absolutely take the extra time, clean and re-clean your surfaces before doing any butchering.
Yeah.
It is important.
You can even take that like one step previous to that is make sure that things are clean and sanitized when you're hunting. You've shot the animal, you're field dressing. That is the start to it, and that is when you can have another huge impact on the quality of your meat, what the life of that product is going to be, how it's going to taste. If you drag your animal through the dirt and throw it in your pickup truck and it's a mess, and you drive around town to show all your buddies the huge rack you got off of a deer or elk, it's not good for the meat. You want to get it cleaned as quickly as possible, and cleaned meaning getting it off the animal, skinned, deboned, but also clean by not getting a lot of the outdoor dirt, dust, bacteria that are just naturally in nature.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Do your best to keep your meat clean from the time you harvest it, and then keep everything clean as you're processing. Clean from the very beginning to the very end is one of the biggest things that will affect your shelf life. And the quality of your meat in general.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind there is deer and wild game rinse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even necessarily need to carry it with. I mean, if you're going to a tree stand or something, I mean, then I'd carry it with me. But if you're stalking, I'd leave it in your car, and just as soon as you get the carcass, as soon as you get it back to your car, spray it down. You want to spray real liberally around the wound, both entry and exit if there is one. And you spray around everything, but definitely just coat that wound in it. It's a very inexpensive mix. It makes a lot, and you don't need a ton. I mean, I'd say a bag should last you at least half a season, if not a full season.
Yeah, unless you're hunting
all the time.
Right. It will last for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it's only like $4
expensive,
a bag, $3, $4 a bag, something
and it definitely gives you a little bit more time. Still wouldn't recommend you drive it around and show all your buddies, but it definitely does give you a little bit of.
That's why we all have
leeway.
Smartphones anymore. We can take pictures.
Yep, take a picture. Take a picture. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how I hate the term mouthfeel, but it comes up all the time in sausage making.
Yeah, well, that's it's a very descriptive term. It means a lot.
It is so pretentious. It is the most pretentious thing you could possibly say. Really like this. I just don't like the mouthfeel on it. I cannot stand that. Somebody came up with, because I was complaining about it in Meatgistics, and somebody came up with a good replacement term. I can't remember what it was. Got to go back and find that.
I don't know.
Mouthfeel.
Where I heard mouthfeel first was probably at one of the cured meat championships, either at the state level or the national level. I don't know. Probably something from that. So, I mean, it's like an official term.
Right. And I picture a guy with a bow tie and that little sausage testing knife, the little tiny one.
You know our typical customer. Like, they're good old boys. They're not, most of our customers are not some uptight, how best to describe this, city person that is, wearing super expensive clothes and just all about them. I mean, the people that are judging most of those competitions are the same ones that are our customers in the meat locker or butcher shop making stuff. They're the same ones. Did you meet Gary Crane?
I don't think so.
Okay, Gary Crane from Perkins, Oklahoma. He was a judge at one of the National American Cured Meat Championships, and I was his assistant. Basically meant I just ate everything along with him, and he'd be like, "What do you think?" I was like, "It was good." I don't know.
I liked it.
But he would tell me what he was doing on stuff. But I mean, Gary Crane from Perkins, Oklahoma.
Right.
He's not like some guy out of New York City.
So I guess it's probably like a weird connection I have to the term judging, because I definitely have like a very specific person in mind whenever I think of a judge.
Sometime we'll have to get you up to AMP just so you can see the ACMCs, and then we also sometime need to go over to it's in Missouri, Mike.
Wurstfest?
Wurstfest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to go.
Honestly, you could be a judge at that.
Okay.
Because there are commercial guys that enter product in there, but it's also a lot of home guys too. It's everybody. Everybody gets together for just sausage, brats, meat, and lots of wine. Lots and lots and lots of wine. That is wine country down there. But,
I'm not great with wine. I get real sleepy real fast.
But you would honestly be a good judge at something like that.
Yeah.
So you could be a judge, and now you need to learn how to use the term mouthfeel.
No.
Because you're a potential judge now.
I would go back through Meatgistics, find that post with the person who came up with something other than mouthfeel, and use that, and I'd start a new trend. Because so many people would be so relieved to not say mouthfeel
if there was an actual
anymore.
judging category listed as mouthfeel,
Cross out.
Would you cross it off?
Mouthfeel. Replace that.
I love it.
Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. So as far as AMP, just because some people might not know, it's American Association of Meat Packers.
Meat processors.
Meat processors. Okay.
Yeah.
So they are a really big deal in our line of work. It's a great resource for anyone who's becoming a processor, opening a good-sized butchering shop, anything like that. They have a lot of ways to help you with inspectors, a lot of do's, don'ts. It's a small fee. It's not much to join, right? I mean, it's not huge.
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
not expensive at all.
Right, and it's definitely, you get your money's worth from it. Just in your HACCP plan alone, they have an entire section dedicated to helping you with the HACCP plan. So it's worth it right there. So.
Yeah, so if anybody listening is a commercial processor and you are not a member of AMP, you need to be. And if you sign up, tell them that Walton's referred you. We do get brownie points. We don't get anything worth anything, but they do recognize who brings people in, and that is one of our goals on bringing more people in than anybody else, and we sometimes win that award.
Sure.
Yeah.
Didn't your dad win something? Some sort of lifetime achievement.
He's won several. The last one was the Missouri Association of Meat Processors.
Okay.
Their lifetime achievement award or outstanding service recognition. People have different names for it, but my dad, Brett, who's our president and CEO, and then also one of our longest employees here, Kirk Carter, who's been one of our sales guys since day one, basically. He and my dad basically built the company off their backs, literally off their backs. But they both won the Missouri Award a month ago or so. But Dad's also won Kansas and Nebraska. The company has won like Outstanding Supplier of the Year award like twice from AMP. As time goes on, we keep finding ourselves either an employee or the company winning more and more and more things.
Cool.
Kinda
That's
cool.
awesome. And just for, I mean, most of them won't know. It used to be that commercial customers would place their order, and Brett, Kurt, whoever it was, would load up a delivery truck and go drive around and deliver them. They said, okay, this will be here on this day when I'm going to be in town. So, I mean, it has come a ridiculously long way since then.
That's when I said they built the company off their backs. Their backs couldn't take any more lifting, so they decided that the UPS Brown truck was a whole lot more efficient.
But really, when you guys moved into this building, was a big kind of switch. There was like a before and after. But I would say even more than that, once I started working here, there was a clear like, wow, we've gone to the next level. I would say.
I mean, I'm not going to inflate your ego any more than it is.
But for anyone who doesn't know, I started out here in our just customer service department. Didn't know a thing about making. Had never made sausage before in my life. I'd never made bacon, ham. I mean, I loved grilling meat. But
did you actually live before you came to work for us?
I did. We don't.
Is there a life without making your own meat products?
We don't do those types of things in New York. I mean, they do in some of the deep upper regions of New York, but even where I was in Albany, I mean, that was not a part of our life. But yeah, no, I've told the story a few times, and I still remember leaving the interview here, calling my wife and being like, I'm sorry, I don't really care what they offer me. I shouldn't tell you this. I'm like, but I'm going to take it. I'm like, I like this place. And I mean, I've almost never regretted that. There were a couple of days in customer service where I'm like, I just want to get out of here. This is insane. But it's been an amazing job.
Yeah.
So
there is a lot of people making sausage in New York, though. I was looking at stats the other day, and New York is maybe like a top 4 state for what we do in like retail and online sales. I mean, there's just a lot of people there, but it's not all.
Is Parksider ordering that much?
No.
Is he reselling our stuff up there? Is that what he's doing?
But it's just, I mean, you still look at it. New York has a decent amount of still country land and small towns.
Oh yeah.
You're not just like the big cities.
No.
You get out there, and it's just like being out in the boonies in Kansas, and people are making their own stuff.
It's not the same.
Oh well,
it's not the same as
not the same on everything, but they're still making their own meat products.
Sure. Yeah. One of the things we always hated being from the Albany area, and Albany's about the same size as Wichita, maybe a little bit bigger. But when I moved down to Dallas, it was right after September 11th, 2001. And people at my new company were asking me, they're like, could you see the smoke? I'm like, no. I'm like, they were like, did you see it happen? I'm like, no. I'm like 2 hours north of the city. And they're like, did you see the smoke? I'm like, what? Like, New York's pretty big. I know it's not, Texas big, but it's decent size.
Yeah.
So that always made me laugh.
You should have asked him, hey, out on the flats in western Texas, could you see the grass fire last week?
No,
actually, I don't think they have grass out there.
Who knows what they have. So, all right, so far we have talked about taking your meat out of your smoker at 130 degrees, finishing it up in water. We've talked about 4 cheese brat, where you melt the cheese first, which may be a little bit more effort than you really need to do. You'd probably be fine just putting it in there.
It's more of I just want to make an impression on whoever I'm feeding.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we wanted an excuse to make sausage.
Yeah.
So.
And we also have been going through the beers. John and I are now drinking our own. So I'm drinking the Hop Slayer, and John is drinking the Vibrant Potion. The Hop Slayer is delicious. This is everything I want out of a double IPA.
It's disgusting. The Vibrant Potion they spelled it that way because it's they teamed up with a brewery on the other side of the Atlantic. Figured that out. Yeah, so it's
that's
like
cool.
over the ocean. All right, so a couple things I wanted to bring up that just quick things. I don't even remember what I was reading, but they make whale salami.
I really have a hard time even putting my mind around that to figure out what it would be, what it would taste like. Because is whale fishy? I mean, it's not a fish, but it comes from the ocean.
Right.
So is it like...
Here's why I think it would be fishy. Steve Ranella tells a story about taking a friend's smoker and smoking bear on it, like grizzly bear that he had got, and he complained to the friend, like, dude, you got to clean your smoker because everything I cook in there tastes like fish. And he's like, I've never cooked fish in that a day in my life. It was because the bears had just finished eating whale. So it must have a fishy taste.
Yeah, and you can definitely kind of change the flavor or sometimes even texture of the meat based on what you're eating. I mean, that's why there's a big difference on like grass-fed beef versus like corn-fed. Personally, I would avoid grass-fed.
We're on the same page.
To each their own there.
Yep.
But it does make a difference on what the animal or protein tastes like and what the mouthfeel is. Ugh. And I know you love that word, so I had to use that. But that can make sense if the grizzly was chowing down on fish,
technically
whale, whatever.
Technically, it's a brown bear. If you can get to the ocean, it's a brown bear. Grizzly's just a landlocked brown bear.
That's weird.
I know.
I
think they do it because if it's landlocked, my understanding is it gets a lot more aggressive because it doesn't have access to everything just dead along the ocean or river that it can eat. So it's just sees you, wants to eat you. It's my understanding. Don't know if I'm right. And another thing, what they eat can also affect the color of the meat.
I once ate so many Cheetos I turned orange. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think that's...
I've wanted to try that, though.
But had we cut you open, I think you'd still be normal colored in there. But apparently black bears, if you get them while they've been harvesting blueberries, their fat has a blue shade to them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We do need to try to follow up with Nick from Nick's Wild Ride. Because he did say he was going to get us some mountain lion.
If he can do that, that'd be amazing. Because I don't remember who it was. I talked to somebody else within the last couple of weeks talking about mountain lion.
I talked to two people.
And they were like, it's amazing.
How can it be that good?
I don't know.
It literally eats no vegetables. All it does is eat meat.
Maybe that's why.
There aren't any other animals like that are that good to eat. Right? Like even people who've eaten lion have been like, not very good. At least I've never heard of anyone eating another absolute 100% carnivore and been like, yeah, it was tasty.
I don't know. I have to find out. I was talking with Nick briefly today about a few things. Nothing to necessarily talk about on air, but we'll have to get a hold of him and see what else. See if he can help point us in a direction or get our hands on something there.
That's gonna get you. That would get even us, who I mean, our customer base is fairly dedicated. Like I think like the majority of the things we do, but somebody's gonna freak out and hate that if we eat mountain lion. Oh yeah.
Why?
Because people see them like big house cats.
Nah.
Absolutely they do. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Have you seen any of the social media blowback on people who do like gripping grins with a mountain lion? It's a different level. Remember what was the lion's name? Leo? What was the lion's name? Cecil. You don't remember the Cecil the lion thing from last year? People went crazy about Cecil the lion. That's like average what happens to somebody when they post a grip and grin with a mountain lion. It's just terrible.
It sounds good though. We'd get publicity. No publicity is bad publicity.
I don't know
However
that that's
that word?
Actually true. I feel like that's just the saying.
Yeah, but are the people that are going to be mad about it, are they really someone who's going to be our customer?
They
anyways?
might be. Yeah, they might be. I'll guarantee you we have a couple vegetarian, maybe even some vegan customers.
True, but the bulk of our customers and the one, like literally the bulk, like 99.9999% are very Yeah. Healthy meat eaters.
Yep. But I mean, there would be some.
Yeah. So. Do you want to smell or try this before I drink the whole thing?
Definitely don't want to try it.
So John is
that actually doesn't smell bad.
Smelling the triple IPA right now. This is like gold straight from God. It is amazing.
That tastes better than the last one. I think you're going to be disappointed with the amount of hops there.
It's not always about the amount of hops.
For me, it is.
The hops do get a little bit covered up because that is definitely malty.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of malt,
which makes it good.
But I don't mind. It's still very hoppy. It just that bitterness kind of gets cut out. I bet it has a higher IBU count than the Hop Slayer did. It's just got enough other stuff in it that it's covered up.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So our next segment here today, we've got a little section we like to call Meat Matters.
Wanted to make sure you got the alliteration in
there. If I didn't put the alliteration in there, John would kill me.
It's my favorite thing.
But we're going to try to make Meat Matters. Make Meat Matters.
Ooh,
can I how else can I add more M's to this? But we're going to make Meat Matters kind of a ongoing segment here. But for today, we wanted to talk about fake meat. Kind of like fake news, but it's fake meat. No, but in particular, we saw something that the new quote-unquote fake meat is mushroom or umami. And umami has that kind of meat flavor to it. I think they say umami is like another whole separate taste
by
style.
Itself, yeah. So you've got salty, bitter, sweet, sour, and now umami.
Umami, yeah.
You've added it as its own one, which makes sense because you have something like... the best way I can describe it to somebody who doesn't eat a lot of meat, which is what I've done with my wife, ramen. Ramen doesn't taste sweet, or salty, sweet, any of those. It's a different flavor. Very strong, very identifiable, so that's what umami is. And from living in a house where there is a lot of non-meat meat eaten, like my wife does eat a good amount of like fake meat, she's also super allergic to mushrooms.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. No, she's not gonna die or anything, but she'll get real sick.
Yeah.
So seeing that come around, I'm like, oh, now we got to look at labels even more. But I generally don't like any mushroom, and it was before I met her. It's not like she's sick to him, so I'm mad at him. That's not what it is. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that we're switching away from soy, which a lot of people have a prejudice is the wrong word, or have a dislike for because it has phytoestrogens in it. So phytoestrogens sound kind of scary. I mean, as guys, we don't want we don't want a bunch of estrogen in our system, but it's not the same thing. Your body doesn't process it like that. And again, I'm sure if somebody's watching and they know more than me, which would not be hard on this subject, they can correct us. But the big difference between when you're having soy is whether it is, what's the term? Fermented, whether it's fermented or not. Apparently you want, I think, unfermented soy. Once it's fermented, that's when it gets weird for your body to deal with. Mm-hmm. Or I could be exactly wrong, and it could be the other way.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. Do your own research. Don't ever just listen to me on anything that doesn't relate to meat.
Yeah, we're experts on meat, and not the non-meats.
That is it. And big dogs. That's about it.
Okay. John and I off air earlier were also talking about the Impossible Burger and some of those other meats that are out there now. He was wondering if that was mushroom or not. So I did have to look that up. It is not mushroom.
Oh, what is it?
Water, first ingredient.
Of course.
Yeah. Soy protein concentrate, coconut oil, sunflower oil, natural flavors. That could be a whole host of things. And then 2% or less of potato protein.
Okay.
Didn't know potatoes really had
less
protein
right?
Yeah. But then there's all kinds of, there's some very big words here.
Well, hold on.
Methyl cellulose, yeast extract, cultured dextrose, food starch, sodium legohemoglobin,
That was good.
mixed tocopherols, zinc gluconate, something like that. And the list goes on. There's some other even bigger words, but
other than the legohelamine or whatever you said, none of those were that bad.
Okay, you want to read through them?
I bet you if you broke down natural flavors, I bet you there'd be some words in there that are unpronounceable.
Probably
like 3 X's in a row.
What I find interesting about the whole fake meat thing is that most of the time you can look at ingredient labels like this, and they look horrible.
Right.
But people freak out when they buy just a standard meat product from a store and it has an unclean label, because that has been if
it says BHA in it, they're like, what is that?
It's been a ongoing tradition lately to work on clean labels. A lot of people in the meat industry are working on clean labels. They have been for years, and trying to shorten ingredients, get rid of some of the names that are more than 3 syllables. Just condense everything down. And then, like, one of the biggest trends right now being fake meat for that kind of world of stuff and what the ingredients are in there.
Sure.
It's like, okay, when did we change? Why do we not care about it now when you can have it in that, but you can't put that in a normal meat product? So,
and I think it's because in a normal meat product, you're expecting it to be just that. And that was one of the things that came up on Meatgistics recently, with somebody was asking about an additive in sausage. After being in the industry for a while, and especially after going and meeting people at like the Iowa Short course and the doctors who are involved with teaching that course, who are also the ones who are reviewing some of these ingredients, those guys aren't doing it for a paycheck. Like, that's not why they're there. They're legitimately concerned, want to make sure what the processes are putting out are healthy.
Yeah.
And what I mean healthy, I don't mean that, it's got great macros. I mean, like, it is okay to eat.
Yeah.
And B, is giving the consumer what they want. One of the things that doesn't make me laugh, which I wish I could point out to people, is when they look at something like a chicken breast or, a steak that has water added to it, and they're like, well, you're adding water to this. That's because you want them to add water to this. They've done extensive testing and found that this is the % of water that people prefer. It's not just so that they can sell you water at meat prices.
Sometimes, honestly, a lot of that could be fixed with meat if people were to cook with a silly, stinking, stupid thermometer. Because people have a tendency to not cook to the proper temperature, especially with chicken. Most people drastically overcook chicken.
Yeah.
And that dries it out horribly. So the chicken you buy in the store is loaded up with what you were talking about earlier, phosphates, water, and that phosphate holds in that water so that when people overcook it, it still tastes good. It's still holding in more water. But yeah, what people get is what they want. It may not be what the individual wants, but it's what the collective has kind of determined is the most popular, and that's what producers out there feed out to people because it's what sells.
They've determined, that's what you want. So if you are going to look for something that you're going to want to either marinate or inject, as far as like a chicken breast, a pork loin, a beef, anything like that, that's the one time you really do want to pay attention to what it's been pumped to. And you want to look for something that's been pumped less, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's going to let the meat just naturally accept more of that water. If it's already been pumped to 12, 13%, especially with chicken, you're going to fight to get yours in and the other water out. Especially if you're just doing a marinade, it won't accept anything.
Yeah. I feel like that has been harder to find lately. I want to say like 10 years ago, give or take, it was a lot easier to go to the store and find something that either wasn't pumped or was a much lower percentage, and nowadays it's next to impossible. But yeah, if you have anything in there, it makes a big difference on what kind of marinade you can get to pick up, and then the flavor. I mean, it affects the whole thing. But
yeah, and if you do find it, it's always the stuff that's all natural and organic.
Organic, yeah. Pricier,
Yeah,
everything.
It's always going to be more expensive. And let's real quick talk about my least favorite thing that they do is when they package chicken and say no antibiotics added or used. Well, if you added any antibiotics, it wouldn't be legal to sell in the U.S. Do not put something on the package that's, we don't do this, when it's illegal to do. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to create a fake separation between you and the other products.
I like to, in like a different but related scenario here, I like to look at packages when they say gluten-free,
okay,
and look and see what it is.
Right.
I've seen gluten-free on like popcorn. It's like, oh no, really?
It's gluten-free.
Popcorn's gluten-free?
Yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah. But what they're betting on, and they're probably right most of the time. It's
consumer labeling.
It's consumer looking at it like, oh wow, that's doesn't have this in it. I've heard that's bad for me. But yeah, you have to know, you have to have some responsibility as a consumer.
Yeah.
You have to be like, this is what should be in here. This is what shouldn't be in here. I'm not saying you have to read every single label all the way down, but if you see something that says, does not contain nitrites, that's another one that we'll save for another day because I'm not ready to go on that rant.
We need to have a whole episode just on nitrites versus no nitrites.
We can absolutely do that.
Yeah, that's a big one because I get fired up over that one.
Because hey, guess what? Your no nitrite cured bacon has a ton of nitrites in it.
It has more nitrite than a regular bacon does.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll cut it there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
I feel like there's more to get to, but we got to leave people hanging for next time.
Sure. Or we just talk for forever. We go on like one of our live streams for 3 hours.
For 3 hours, yeah. I think we'll let people take a break and a nap and catch up again with us in a week or two.
Yep.
So I guess end it with we're not planning on these weekly, but not monthly. It'll probably be an every other week type
Somewhere
of thing.
In that range.
And once we get going, I don't know, you can try to talk John and I into doing them every week, but we'll at least kick off with that, and we'll see how things go.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate for your having you guys around and listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And obviously do us a favor and either leave it a high review if we're going to put it up on Apple Podcast or...
Oh, yeah. So the podcast will be available anywhere podcasts are available. Apple, Google, Spotify, anything there. But you can also visit our meatgistics.com website because we want to be able to answer questions from you about stuff you guys are interested in. So you can visit Meatgistics, look for the podcast section, and leave us a comment, create a topic, ask us questions, whatever you want, and we'll try to cover that on the actual show here. Or if you'd like to email us, you can email us at podcast@waltonsinc.com. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.